Yo, what is going on guys, and welcome back to another Lost Ark build video. Today I'm going to be going over Reaper, the new assassin class that just came out for us in NA/EU. Very popular class, and I know a lot of you guys have really been looking forward to this, myself included. So I'm going to be covering the best builds for both Moon and Thirst class engravings, including engravings, tripods, gems, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys have any questions after the video, be sure to head over to my Twitch. I will be streaming later today after this video comes out, so you can go to twitch.tv/Yoda_of_soda, or join the Discord and feel free to ask me anything on there. My DMs are always open, and links to both of those things are in the video description of each and every single one of my videos. Anyway, enough of that. Before we begin, I want to quickly talk to you guys about the sponsor that made today's video possible in the first place, Raid Shadow Legends. Now, Raid needs no introduction, okay? It is the biggest mobile game in the entire world with over 600 playable champions, all from different unique factions with their own history. And best of all, the game is completely free. In almost every fantasy gamer setting, my favorite factions are always the elves. And the new elves in Raid are pretty sick. They helped humans create their own first civilizations, they drove off the horde of orcs, and they even survived the fall of the Lizardmen Empire. Unfortunately, Cyroth, which is the Lord of Darkness in the lore, created the Dark Elves, and they nearly destroyed each other in a civil war. My favorite elven champion is the Avenger because she has just a really big personality. But what else is new in Raid? Well, this month is absolutely huge, okay? They just released a brand new faction, the Sylvan Watchers, which have amazing champions. They have Forest Elves, Ents, Druids, Fays, all of it. They also have a ton of events going on and a brand new season of the Forge Pass, which has some of the literal best gear in the entire game. Also, if you have Amazon Prime, you can get exclusive rewards right now. So it is the best time to try out Raid. It's honestly a really good game, guys, and if you click my link in the video description or scan this QR code on the screen, you'll get some unique bonuses that are worth over $30. Okay, we're talking a free epic champion called Aina, 200k silver, 1 energy refill and XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon even more champions as soon as you start. And you'll also be supporting me, ya boy. You can get all of your rewards by clicking the little treasure chest at the top right hand side of the screen. So go ahead and check out Raid today, and thanks to them again for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get into the build. Let's get started with the Hunger class engraving. What this engraving does is that it increases your red identity gauge gain by 30%, and once it's full, you get 25% more attack. For your stats, I'm going to recommend a 50-50 split between spec and swiftness. However, ultimately the ratio is completely up to you, so if you don't like how this feels, then you can change it. However, do keep in mind that if you go under 1000 or 1100 swift, Raid Captain isn't really optimal, so you're going to have to swap out that engraving for something else. For your skills, you're going to want Shadow Storm with Fatal Shadow, Period, and Shadow Zone, Distortion with Quick Prep and Tailwind, Shadow Vortex with Poison, Corrosion, Quick Prep, and Swoop activation, Nightmare with Poison, Corrosion, Quick Prep, and Back Attack, Glowing Brand with Vital Point, Chaos Enhancement, and Testament, Rage Spear with Quick Prep, Ambush, and Concentrated Attack, Silent Rage with Quick Prep, Sharp Fall, and Ground Smash, and Dance of Fury with Piercing Strike, Chaos Enhancement, and Suppressed Move. Out of all these skills, the 18 tripods that you should be maxing out are all of the tripods for Shadow Storm, Glowing Brand, Rage Spear, and Dance of Fury, Quick Prep and Ground Slam for Silent Rage, Quick Prep and Swoop activation for Shadow Vortex, and finally Quick Prep for Nightmare and Distortion. For your Awakening in both builds, you're going to be using Lunar Eclipse Cadenza. This instantly fills your green identity gauge at the beginning of a fight, and also the other Awakening option that you have is basically PvP only, so this is basically your only choice. For your runes, you're going to want Gale Wind on Glowing Brand, Raid Spear, Dance of Fury, and Silent Rage, Quick Recharge on Shadow Vortex, Rage on Distortion, Wealth on Shadow Storm, and then either Bleed or Purify on Nightmare. For your gems, you're going to want a Damage and CDR gem for Glowing Brand, Rage Spear, Dance of Fury, Silent Rage, and Shadow Storm, and a CDR gem for Shadow Vortex. For your engravings at 4-3, you're going to want Grudge, Thirst, Ambush Master, and Adrenaline, and for your 5-3, you're going to want Grudge, Thirst, Ambush Master, Cursed Doll, and Raid Captain. For your gear set, you're going to want the Argos Preordained set at first, and once you get into Relic gear, you're going to want 6-piece Earth's Entropy. For your cards, you once again are going to be using Lost Wind Cliff if you have it, or if you have a Light of Salvation 18 or higher, then I recommend using Light of Salvation. For your rotation for this build, you don't really have a specific rotation, you just have a couple things that you have to keep in mind. You want to make sure that you apply the Shadow Vortex or Nightmare at the beginning of the fight for the synergy, and you want to smash whatever is off cooldown, but you want to prioritize hitting your red skills first, and then using Shadow Vortex whenever it's up to reduce the cooldown of it with the last tripod. Moving on to the Lunar Voice class engraving build, what this class engraving does is that it increases your red skill damage by 160% whenever you go go invisible. So ideally you're going to want to max out your gauge, use a red skill, and then rinse and repeat. For your stats, you're going to want mainly spec and sub crit. So you're going to want a crit and spec necklace. However, you can go swiftness as well, but I'll talk about that a little bit later once we get into the engravings. For your skills, you're going to want Shadow Vortex with Poison Corrosion, Quick Prep, and Swoop Activation, Nightmare with Poison Corrosion, Quick Prep, and Back Attack, Distortion with Charge Shadow and Tailwind, Shadow Trap with Trap Enhancement, Shadow Swamp, and Activate Shadow, Shadow Storm with Charge Shadow, Period, and Shadow Zone, Glowing Brand with Vital Point, Enhanced Swoop, and Testament, Rage Spear with Fatal Dagger, Ambush, and Concentrated Attack, Dance of Fury with Piercing Strike, Fatal Dagger, and Suppress Move. For your tripods, the 18 ones that you're going to want to max out are all of the ones available for Glowing Brand, Rage Spear, Dance of Fury, and Shadow Storm, Quick Prep for Nightmare and Distortion, Quick Prep and Swoop Activation for Shadow Vortex, and Shadow Snare and Activate Shadow for Shadow Trap. Your Awakening is once again going to be Lunar Eclipse Cadenza. For your runes, you're going to use Gale Wind on Rage Spear, Glowing Brand, and Dance of Fury, Wealth on Shadow Vortex, Distortion, Nightmare, and Shadow Storm, and then you can use either Quick Recharge or Rage, Purify, or Bleed on Shadow Trap. However, do keep in mind that you want to have your Golden Wealth rune on Shadow Vortex and your Blue Wealth rune on Shadow Storm, because it generates so much meter that putting anything above blue is complete overkill. And it's very important to have these in the specific order for the rotation that I'm going to show you guys later on. For your gems, you're going to want a Damage gem for Rage Spear, Glowing Brand, and Dance of Fury, and the rest of your gems are going to be cooldown gems for every single one of your skills. For your engravings on a 4-3 setup, you're going to want Grudge, Lunar Voice, Ambush Master, and Keen Blunt. And then once you move on to a 5-3 setup, if you're using a crit spec necklace, you're going to want Grudge, Lunar Voice, Ambush Master, Keen Blunt, and Cursed Doll. However, if you decided to go with a spec Swift necklace, then instead of Cursed Doll, you're going to run Adrenaline to make up for the lost crit. For your gear set, once again, you're going to go Preordained, and again, it's mainly because you probably won't have the max level tripods at that stage, so this kind of helps cover up the crit rate that you do need. And then finally, your relic set is of course going to be 6-piece entropy. Cards, once again, Lost Wind Cliff, and if you have Light of Salvation 18 or higher, then use Light of Salvation. Now for your rotation, this is very important. This is assuming that you have above 1550 spec, which is essentially relic accessories. Remember, the goal here is to have full meter and then use one of your swoop skills, aka the red skills. So a basic rotation would be Shadow Storm into Shadow Vortex, and then that will completely fill up your meter, so you should use Rage Spear, which is your hardest hitting skill. And then after that, you're going to use Nightmare to apply the dagger, then use Distortion to teleport through the boss, activate Nightmare again to teleport back to your original location, use Shadow Trap backwards so that you stay next to the boss, hit them with Shadow Vortex, and that'll fill up your meter, which will allow you to go invisible and hit Glowing Brand. After that, you can use Shadow Vortex again, and you're going to have to wait a couple of seconds for your cooldown, so you can just auto attack or simply reposition. And then you're once again going to do the Nightmare Distortion combo, so throw out Nightmare, dash with Distortion, use Nightmare again to teleport to your original spot, use Shadow Vortex again if you need to, because sometimes with the auto attacks and everything like that, you will have your meter filled up, but sometimes you won't, so you will have to hit it at least once and sometimes twice. And then you can use Dance of Fury. And then after that, your Shadow Storm should be back off cooldown, so you can just rinse and repeat. Using all three of your skills is considered one cycle, so getting your rotation down is very important, and because you have to constantly change the way that you position your character, because some skills move you forwards and some skills move you backwards, you do really need to practice this, so I highly recommend that you guys get in Trixion, and, you know, if you're playing Lunar Voice, definitely put in some time to get this rotation down, because even though in boss fights it's very situational, knowing the perfect form, you know, in your head is very important. Now, let me quickly go over a Chaos Dungeon, which is just a couple of different tripods with the same skills. So I'm going to be using Distortion with Quick Prep and Tailwind, Call of the Knife, which is actually a skill we haven't used before, and you're going to want Jungle's Law, Fatal Shadow, and Call of Fear, Shadow Trap, Trap Enhancement, Shadow Snare, and Activate Shadow, Shadow Storm with Charge Shadow, Period, and Shadow Zone, Glowing Brand with Vital Point, Enhanced Swoop, and Testament, Rage Spear with Quick Prep, Ambush Master, and Concentrated Attack, Silent Rage with Quick Prep, Sharpfall, and Ground Smash, and Dance of Fury with Piercing Strike, Swift Prep, and Suppress Move. Now, this Chaos Dungeon build works with both class engravings, but I highly suggest that you guys just play this with Hunger, so just make a second preset. If you are maining Hunker, then you really have no issues, but if you are playing Lunar voice, like for example myself, just make a second preset, equip the class engravings, which you should have gotten a bunch from the event if you did use the Hyper Express Plus or whatever the hell it's called, and just get the class engraving on there, equipped on your character. It's really a lot better. So that's just my personal recommendation. You don't have to, but it is my personal recommendation. And that is it, guys. That is my Reaper build. I hope that this video helped you guys. I hope that it gives you a little bit of a footing if you are, trying out the class or you're unsure of where to go. As I said, you guys can ask me anything on my stream. Link is in the video description, and you can also join my Discord. Like I said, my DMs are always open, or you can just ask in the server as well. I'd be happy to help anybody with any questions or with anything else that I can help with. Alright, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.